Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of The Inside. I am Babla Jonathan. Success has become a dream, an unrealistic one for many Cameroonians, many Africans, due to the difficult environment in which they find themselves, where the enabling factors are almost rare commodities, so to speak. The path to success involves setting clear personal goals, cultivating a growth mindset and resilience, taking consistent and focused actions, continuously learning and improving, and building a supportive network. Success is a subjective journey, not a destination, requiring adaptability, perseverance, and a balance of physical and mental actions. And in this edition of the program, we are taking you through the path to success. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Thank you for staying with us in this edition of The Inside. Our program begins with our guest today, who is NGALA Boris, an entrepreneur, an investor, business consultant, founder and chief executive officer of Boris Bison Youth Empowerment and Business Incubator here in Douala. You're welcome to the program.
It's always a great pleasure to be back here. Thank you.
Always a great pleasure to listen to you, knowing that you have a lot to share with us, especially young people. And I remember this statement.
Yes.
If you don't do what you know how to do, what you know will do you.
Thank you so much. That's a statement from about 6 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just a made-up quote that I made up, and I think it resonates with me based on where I come from, my background, and my experience in life. I believe that, action is better than words, especially when in the business milieu, within the business ecosystem. You have to do what you know. And for you to know something, you have to learn. You have to learn. You have to study. You have to, just like the intro, you already said it. It's a continuous learning, You have to learn to know. And when you know, you do what you know. If you don't do what you know will do you. It's just like, for instance, people nowadays are very conscious of being overweight or obese, so to speak. And they still eat late. They still do things that, lead to them being obese. They already know that if they eat late, if they do these things, it will lead them to being obese. So what you know will do you. Simple. Thank you.
Right. The Bible says that do not love sleep, else poverty will take hold of you.
That's right. That's right.
So if you love sleeping and not doing what you know how to do, poverty will take hold of you.
Exactly. That's right.
Right. So before we continue, I want to let our viewers know that we are focusing on business, success in business. But the insights we're going to be sharing with you cuts across the board. You can apply it in every domain, and I'm sure you're going to get success. So, Boris Bison, you're a young person. Oh my God, I called you Boris Bison.
Yeah. That's
the name of your company.
Yes, that's actually my character name as well. That's my character name. So you did well. Thank you for that.
All right. So you're a young person and you're thriving in business. Let's go to your humble beginnings. You come from a humble background and you've been able to move through the hurdles, through the ladder. I want to say to the summit. Maybe you're still going higher, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you start?
Thank you again immensely, Babila Jonathan. It's always amazing to be with you here, and of course to share with patriotic Cameroonians that are looking forward to making great strides in life, and write their names in the sands of time. So for me, I will start by saying I'm not yet at the summit. I'm not even there yet. I've not started. I'm still, galvanizing my energy, putting things together in order to be great. For me, it has always...
But you're a CEO.
Yes, yes.
You know, to be a CEO,
Well, thanks to God
is
for
not
helping.
a joke.
Yes, thanks to God for helping throughout all this while, and people that I met throughout my journey that have been of great, contribution, that have contributed greatly to who I am today. They say it is a village that raised a child. For me, growing up, I think the thing that challenged me was the vision I had. The vision I had, which was actually a question that I asked myself. Okay, when you listen to stories of great industrialists, great men from this same country, because success is not rocket science. Success has patterns. Success has a system. Okay? When you look at all the successful business barons, business moguls in Cameroon, like the Fotsos, like all of the people, the likes of those that you know already, they'll tell you that some of them, they started by selling granules. So I asked myself one question: what took them to where they actually reached, the summit they reached? What helped them to exponentially, grow their potential to the point where the whole country can look at them like, yeah, these are successful business barons? Why? What made them different? I believe that they also had friends that were doing the same trade. They were selling the same granules, right? I believe that they had the same people, but something distinguished them. It was their vision. And to me, I cannot overemphasize the fact of the vision I have for the youth of this country. I cannot overemphasize the vision I have for, youth empowerment, for, startup ecosystem, I'm an ecosystem builder. That's who I am. I am a connector. So
before you go further,
yes,
we've been hearing these stories of some great men, some great businessmen who started by selling granules on the streets,
yes,
25, 50 francs, yes, 100 francs, and so on. And many do not really believe these stories when they look at the greatness of the people. They don't believe the stories. Tell us about your own story. Did you also start by selling granules?
I did a lot of things. Not selling granules, definitely not. But I did a lot of things that was quite menial. I have been to Nigeria, of course, doing normal trade, buy from Nigeria, sell here, and before I even traveled out of the country. So basically, what I'm referring to here, which is the fundamental problem that each and every Cameroonian has in their DNA, is our way of thinking, the mindset. The mindset is the problem. The only thing that distinguished those big business barons that made it in life and became so great in business and in industry is their way of thinking, their mindset. I believe that if Fotso, as great as he was, sold granite and became who he is, or who he was, it is just because of his mindset, the way he thought, the way he was thinking. It is good to sell. You remember, I said last time, sell granules, be consistent at it, be patient, but sell it with the mindset of a millionaire. Be willing to grow.
The mindset.
Be willing to, the mindset is the problem. The mindset is the problem. Even where we are right now was conceived by somebody. It was conceived in someone's mind. All of these things that you're seeing here in this studio was actually conceived by someone. It was designed by someone. So the mindset is the birthplace of every vision. The mindset is the birthplace of everything that is real, that is tangible, that you can feel, you can touch. And if you grow from where we come from, you realize that many people are stuck in the trauma of, you cannot make it. Who do you think you are? They have heard words like empty basket head, I mean, they have heard words like you're
sometimes
good for nothing.
From their parents.
From their guardians, from their brothers, from their sisters, from friends, from neighbors, from the community. They tell you you're good for nothing. They judge you. They condemn you. They put you under the bus. But If you can bravely overcome that trauma, that challenge, and have in mind that there is greatness in you, number one. No one is coming to say to you, you have to make it happen. You have to start somewhere. You have to start with you. And starting somewhere here, I'm talking about with you. I'll give you an analogy, for instance. Like, by way of question, by the way. Have you had a pen or a key in your hand and you're looking for it everywhere? Have you ever had that?
Yes, it's happened to me several times.
Okay, great. You know, when you realize that that pen is in your hand, how do you feel? Or that key is in your hand, how do you feel?
Stupid.
You feel stupid. That is exactly the community, the society we live in today. People look for solutions far off while it is right there with them. You're holding the key to your life in your own hands, within you. And the only thing that is hindering you from unlocking it is the doubts, disbelief, a low self-esteem, limitations based on environment. I'll give you another example, another analogy. You know a cucumber tree or a boma tree, for instance. It's quite big. I mean, 6 of us cannot size our hands around it, right? But if you take that boma tree as a plant when it's still small, then you put it in a flower pot and start watering it. Do you know that that flower pot is going to retard the growth of that cucumber tree? It cannot grow to that big tree that's supposed to be like a whole room or a whole building. Why? Because of the environment. The environment where we come from, that's the number one ingredient to our success. Be it positively or negatively. The environment matters. But we have to determine our success by changing our mindset, reshuffling our mindset, making sure that we speak to ourselves. At times you have to talk to yourself. At times you have to talk to yourself confidently. Tell yourself you will make it. People tell you you can't make it, tell yourself you will make it. If people talk down on you, they try to bastardize you, they try to, ramshackle you, don't blame them. People are moving around with a lot of trash. You are not a trash can. As long as you have a strong mindset, I call it mental toughness. For you to survive in Cameroon, you have to attain a state of what I call mental toughness. Without mental toughness, there is a lot of backlash you face if you don't have mental toughness. Mental toughness is what I call the bulletproof of the mindset, of the mind. Mental toughness is a state where you now have bulletproof of the mindset, meaning anything that is coming at you will surely come at you, but it will not penetrate because you have built that defense mechanism. It is there. Nothing negative will penetrate it because you run things. Things don't run you, basically.
How do you build that mindset? How do you build that growth mentality, that growth mindset in an environment where nothing seems to work right? Because this is what is pushing many young people today to undertake the perilous journey through the desert, the Mediterranean, some of them dying in the process, many of them, of course, not only Cameroonians, but Africans in general dying in the process, because many have gotten to that point where they think that there is nothing good here, there is nothing working right here, I cannot make it here. How do you build that mindset of success in this kind of environment?
You cannot build the mindset or success. I would say you cannot build success by saying there is no way for me here. That's the problem. That's where the problem starts. The problem starts when you are negative about your environment. Be it that the environment is negative. To those that are Christians, they understand what Jesus Christ was told. Can something good come out of Nazareth? That was a very demeaning question. That was derogatory. That was appalling. But, Jesus Christ he was not loquacious about it. He was not talkative about it. He did not talk about it. He just showed his works, the miracles. He just moved on and did what he had to do. So at times, I will keep on saying this, how to build the bulletproof mindset. One, yes, acknowledge that there's a problem. The problem could be your environment. If your environment is hindering you from making great strides, then you have to adapt. If you cannot change that environment, you have to adapt to that environment. You have to grow. For instance, I'll give you an example. You'll definitely see some trees that grow through rocks and still bear fruits. The environment was not conducive. It was not conducive at all. But these trees, they braved it. They break through, you know. And that is where greatness, real greatness lies. Real greatness does not lie on the shoulders of my parents were successful, my parents were billionaires, my parents were millionaires. In fact, I can guarantee you that people who come from successful families, by research, most of them are not solid.
You just said something remarkable, which I want to insist a little bit on it, because generally you will hear people saying that you need to ignore the challenging environment. But you seem to be saying that it's not about ignoring. You have to acknowledge it.
Yes.
In order to take the appropriate strategies, the measures, the actions that will help you navigate through that existing environment.
Exactly. If there is drought, for instance, God forbid, but we have never faced drought in Cameroon. If there is drought in Cameroon, some people will survive the drought. Some will not survive the drought. I can guarantee you those that survive the drought are people who said, you know what, we will go through it. Yeah.
Not saying I'll give you no drought.
Yeah.
There's drought, but we will go through.
Yeah. I'll give you an example, for instance. We had a very horrific experience during our flight. Our flight dropped like 600 feet while I was on my way to Ouagadougou on the invitation of His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traore, you know, during the celebration of their youth day. I was there. Our plane dropped 600 feet. Some people collapsed, some cried, some were praying. In fact, some were praying and some were crying, some fainted. The only reason why I seated here was able to actually brave that incident without collapsing or without going through that trauma was because I was telling others, ça va aller, ne crie pas, prier, il faut prier. That's what I was doing, you know. It's all about mindset. And trust me, you cannot know how strong you are until you're faced with challenges of that magnitude. So building that mindset is a daily thing. Like you said, you learn. If you come from a background that is very negative, people are very negative about success. When they see success, they think that someone has involved himself in what is commonly known as nyongo. Or if you cultism, yes, of course. If you come from backgrounds where people believe that success is mystical, success is something that should be for a particular class or ranks of people in the community or in the society, then you have a great deal. In fact, life is winning you 5-0 already. So you have to ensure to read, of course, books like Think and Grow Rich, you know, The Power of Positive Thinking. You know, you have to realign your mindset. You have to reshuffle your mindset in order to be able to penetrate through. So it's a step-by-step process where you build yourself up for the challenges ahead, because it will reoccur to you when life gets tough that you know, you were not meant to be successful.
Nobody has a bicycle in my family. Nobody has. My father didn't have. My grandfather did not. Nobody built a house, and all of these things will just be showing up right in front of you.
That is it. And until you actually build, one thing is clear: you have to be solid. When I say solid, it means you have to cultivate the power of positive thinking. One, every Cameroonian should take this as a prerequisite to success. Yes, this is like a roadmap. you have to cultivate the power of positive thinking. One, if you are consistent at thinking positively, it's just a matter of time. And you add action to your vision, it's just a matter of time. You make it. It's just a matter of time.
Dealing with negative mindsets, dealing with negative thoughts, and you know, these issues of thoughts, words that are thrown at you, negative words that are thrown at you, seem to constitute a serious hindrance, a serious barrier, something that can be synonymous to the wall of Jericho in the Bible for many, especially young people who are struggling to make it in life, struggling to achieve one or two things. And these words are like building up right in front of them. And you need to break it, not avoiding it.
Of course.
Because that's where there's another issue.
Of course.
Facing the challenge or avoiding the challenge.
You don't win a fight by running away from it. You fight. Yeah, you fight. And warriors fight and fight. You don't give up. You don't give up. You don't have to give up. You have to keep fighting. Because I tell you why the graveyard is the most wealthiest place in the world. It is because of things like this. It is because of people who did not believe in themselves. They had great ambitions. They had great visions. They had great startups, great plans, great things that could actually bring a kind of, I would say, a tsunami of growth to even the socio-economic development of our dearly beloved country, Cameroon. You understand? There are people that are in the graveyard today, buried with their dreams, buried with their visions. Why? These are some of the factors. The factors of negativity, the factors of bullying, you know. As a parent, you don't have the right. The fact that you brought a child to this world, you have no right to tell the child that he's an empty-headed child. Even if they hurt you, you have no right to tell them that. Because believe me, some don't even just end at the point. Some have succeeded to brave that. But many in this our generation, those that are weak-minded, they even take away their life just because of a word.
They're caught in that trap.
Of course.
However, if the wall of Jericho went down, if the Berlin Wall went down, if Goliath went down, definitely every challenge has a solution.
Yeah.
And the solution is in us.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about taking action. After dealing with mindset, there is action that has to be taken. Tell us more about this, this part, which is definitely unavoidable, indispensable. Action, because even the Bible says that faith without action is like death.
Unfortunately, a lot of people, young people especially, are lackadaisical by so saying, I'm saying that we take things with a laissez-faire kind of approach, of which life does not know that. Life does not know that. I would take it from permit me to piggyback on the story you were talking about, David and Goliath, right? To those that know about David and Goliath, you know, when David was confronted with this challenge, he said, I will go up against Goliath. He said it. He said it. I bet you a lot of people watching me today, I used to tell them, I will be great. I will be great. I'm going to be great. And I'm not going to be great for myself. I'm going to empower a lot of people. I want to empower a lot of people. I want to not live my life for me. And that is what is unfolding. I'm not there yet, but I will get there, you know. So it's all about you believing in yourself and speaking it out. At times people used to say, when you have a dream, when you have a vision, don't tell people. People will, you know, crack it down on me. I want you to hold me to account that I said this, and it's going to happen right in front of your eyes. So David said, I will go up at once. I will go up against Goliath. And he did.
And
Even they gave him...
He didn't allow himself to be talked down by the king. Because
The
the king
king-
said, no, you have not had military training. You're not a soldier.
Now you get it.
And he was looked upon like a little boy.
Of course.
How can you go against a giant? And like today, many visions are killed even before they are nursed because of things like this.
Parents
Somebody telling you you can make it.
Of course.
How can you achieve that? What you're talking about?
Of course.
How can you become this or that?
You know, let us bring it back to the context of our beloved country, Cameroon, where the business climate seems to be quite hostile, not quite conducive out there, and you have a lot of things to battle with, a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of challenges. You know, I don't know, beginning from council. You know, you open a small business today, the council comes and close it tomorrow. They need a tax. They need you to pay tax. Taxation needs you to pay tax. And all of these things, it makes the business, of course, the business climate quite hostile to some people that are weak-minded. But trust me, there are still people that are succeeding here. You know, a parent will tell their daughter or their son, mate, come on, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. You lose your money. Okay, let's put it in the context of David. Now, the king gave David an armor, gave David a helmet, gave David a sword, gave David all of these things. David kept it aside and said, I don't need this. So now let me bring it back to the floor to interpret this in the context of Cameroon. People think that money is actually the fundamental problem. Capital is the fundamental problem in building businesses. No, it's not. You have to be the business before building businesses.
So tell us more about that, because what you just said now, many may not really assimilate it, because, you know, when you start thinking about business, the first thing in your mind is, oh, how am I going to get 10,000, 50,000, 500,000, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million? That's the first thing that is in the mind. But you are saying that it does not start there. It does not start with money.
No. The most important thing that when it comes to business, I would say the most fundamental, the first thing is your self-belief and your vision. When you believe in yourself and you have a clear vision, it is well written down, and you're able to situate yourself, because you have to situate yourself in the right environment in order to thrive. Remember, I told you the analogy of how environments will hamper growth. Now, the two key main thing first is believe in yourself. When you're able to believe in yourself against all odds, you can be under the bridge right now. You can be, you know, in the slums where you're sleeping and water is going under your bed and all of that. And you have this belief in yourself that you will be great. Then after that, you're like, okay, I'm going to start up a business. I don't know what business, but I'm going to start up a business. And you do research. You do research of what brings value to people, because people pay for value. They pay for valuable services and products. So when you now research around you, if, for instance, I was to start a cleaning company today, I'm going to look at what value am I going to bring? Who are those that are doing this business? How are they doing it? Are they good at what they're doing? What am I going to do different in order to distinguish myself, in order to be unique, to stand out? The problem is people like copy work, and Cameroonians are very best at that. I can tell you that. That's the reason why you see a hairdresser start a hairdressing shop, you know, downstairs today. The next day, everybody wants to do hairdressing. That is not the mindset of growth. That is not a growth mindset. That is a myopic mindset. It's a copycat mindset. It does not help. So you should be able to think real visions.
So you don't jump into a business because everybody is there, or because you've seen that it is succeeding?
I bet you, if you start off a business because you see somebody is succeeding in that business, and you have not known, if you have not studied the business, you have not gone to the person, asked questions, done your research, your homework, you are bound to fail. Yeah, that's an express way to fail. If you start up a business because you've seen your brother succeeding in that business and you want to do that business without any background research and all of those things, that's an express way to failure. There's no any other way I can tell you this. That's an express road to failing, because you don't know the challenges that they have navigated through. You don't know the obstacles that they had to break through. You don't know the walls that they had to push down. Everything you're doing today, nothing is new under the sun. People have gone ahead of you. Go to them and ask. And if they are not willing to open up to you to tell you the truth, you will definitely in 100 people find one person that is going to be willing to tell you the truth. And just that one truth can help you scale.
All right, let's go to the newsstands, and we're taking a look at what the newspapers reported this week. We'll be right back in a moment. And when we come back, we're taking you through the steps to succeed in business. What must be done to succeed in business? We started talking about research, getting information about a particular business. First of all, even believing in yourself that you can succeed, and then having an idea, researching to know more about that idea, that domain of business before getting involved. Yeah. Interviews, or rather the press review. I'll be right back in a moment. The Ultimate reports that the Senior Division Officer of the Coupe Moninkoba Division in the Southwest region of Cameroon threatens to arrest and jail contractors over abandoned projects. He has also declared war on absentee civil servants. The Guardian Post tells its readers that at the inauguration of the Treasury Staff Hotel, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dangote hailed the Treasury Director General's strategic vision and budgetary discipline. Municipal Update reports that Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dangote has launched construction works for a pharmaceutical production plant in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. In the Guardian Post Sport, the paper says Indomitable Lions head coach Mark Brees has reinforced the squad ahead of two must-win World Cup qualification games. Also in this issue of the Guardian Post, journalist Philemon Bale declares for Southwest Fecafoot presidency. Thank you for staying with us. We are still with our guest, NGALA Boris, entrepreneur, investor, business consultant, founder and chief executive officer of Boris Bison Youth Empowerment Business Incubator. Now, about succeeding in business, we're talking about the action part of it, because we've dwelled pretty much on the mindset, the idea, and of course the vision. But now, the action part of it. Let's focus now on the action part of it. How to go about implementing a vision, trying to execute a vision, trying to carry out a business endeavor in order to succeed.
The fundamental thing here is your work ethic. Your work ethic. If I can look at your work ethic, I can tell you if you will be successful or you will be a failure. If I can look at your work ethic, if I can look at how organized you are, I can tell you you will succeed or not. Even the good book says that, seest a man diligent at his business shall stand before kings and not mere men. That is I cannot overemphasize that to anyone out there. You just have to be organized. You have to have a good work ethic. You have to be intentional. Even when I was working for another company, without me having my own company, I had my personal goals for that company. What I want to achieve as a person for that company. Can anyone out there boast that, okay, every day I wake up from my house, I'm going to work, I actually have a precise, concise, straightforward goal that I want to achieve for this company? Some people just go as a matter of routine. do one thing, do this and do that, and they are used to it. It becomes a norm. So the work is no longer exciting. Now, the reason I actually set daily goals for myself while I was working with this company is because it challenges me to be better. I work on myself more than I work on my job. And that is the only way of evolving. And there is a quote I made up: if you don't evolve, you dissolve. That's just the reality of our matrical mindset kind of society we have harnessed for the past how many years today.
From what you're saying, it can be deduced that even while you're working for somebody, your prime objective shouldn't be salary.
Yes, it shouldn't be salary. You should be able to have, even though some companies have their targets, they give you their targets. When they give you their targets, you as an individual, the only way for you to actually go what I call go an extra mile, stretch yourself a little bit more, is for you to have your own goals. So they give you a goal to achieve. If they've given you 25 or maybe whatever percent to achieve, you give yourself 30. You say, okay, this 5 is for me. I want to do it. I want to add this 5 to it.
For the growth of the company.
For the growth of the company. And when you do that, you're literally practicing what we call in human psychology programming. You're programming yourself to be an extremist in a good way. An extremist in a good way, that when you're given an assignment, you will always exceed the expectations of that assignment.
So you're working to bring value to the company.
Yes.
Not working just because you need a salary, just because you need to put food on your table.
Yeah.
That should be secondary.
Yeah. And the problem we have in the society where we find ourselves is routine. Routine work. People, when you miss this link of giving yourself daily challenges, daily goals, you're not better than a robot, because a robot can be programmed to do what you're doing
and do that for years,
and even better,
over the same thing,
and even better, and even better. But we are different. We are intelligent species. God created you differently. You're not a robot. So you have to think out of the... In fact, there's no box. I don't like to use the word think out of the box. There's no box. You have to be creative, innovative. You have to intentionally do things that make you go extra mile at achieving success, greatness, be it for a company owned by the company, be it for a company that is owned by someone that you're working for, or your own company.
Right. So, but you know that in the Cameroonian context, and which obtains in many other African countries, when you start working and putting too much of your energy, you know how, in fact, investing yourself in the work you're doing, you will hear things like, you want to show up? Do you want to show that you're the best worker here? Are you being paid more than us? And things like that. It looks like it's abnormal. It looks like it's abnormal. If they see you working and going beyond the working hours, not in a situation in Western nations where additional hours are paid for, where you just earn your normal salary, but you're working beyond the expected task.
It goes back to the fundamentals of this conversation. We started by saying that a lot of naysayers, we call them naysayers, they are those people that are like park boys. You know, there are a lot of workers that are like park boys. You know what park boys do? Have you been to the park recently or lately? Park boys. Yeah, I'm one of those people that always make you smile because I give you examples of stuff, you know. And I'm grateful for that, Babila Jonathan. Thank you so much. You know, one thing I tell you about park boys is that when you get to the park and you're about to drop somebody to travel, there are these boys that will always be like, yeah, one chance, you know. They are not going with you. They will tell you one chance as you get in. You thought that they were actually coming. At times that one chance is, there are a lot of people still pending. They still have to load the car to get to that point. What I'm trying to tell you is, there are a lot of people at the job site that are like park boys. They are going nowhere. Did you get that? They're going nowhere. They're not headed to your direction. They don't have the same destination like yourself. They will, hey, and yap. But they are going nowhere. And if you know where you are headed, you will know what it takes. So you will ignore their distractions. You will ignore whatever words they might say. And focus on, okay, I'm getting into this car to head to Limbe or to Boya. And you get to your destination. A lot of people at the job site are park boys. They are going nowhere.
In Cameroon today, research has shown that especially small and medium-sized enterprises, the lifespan of small and medium-sized enterprises is between 6 months and 3 years.
Yes,
and
that's right.
They're off the market. For someone who wants to start a business, what must he do to go beyond this?
Number one, business to me is like a baby. It's like raising a child. There will be days that that child will require a lot of attention because it will have sudden temperature. You did not plan for it, the child will just develop temperature. And you have to pay attention to that. Else it will spike to something that can be chaotic or destructive to the child's brain, you know. So, you have to see business like, this is my baby, first. And also, it is important to understand that business is all about people, network, connections, and places. Nobody has ever made it alone. Anybody who says that they made it alone told a lie. Anybody who said that they made it all alone told a lie. Somebody opened the door for you. Somebody gave you an opportunity. Somebody opened a window for you to be able to get to where you are. Somebody gave you a contract. Somebody gave you a demand, a request. Somebody did something. To those that have parents, their parents may be well-to-do. Their parents gave them maybe initial capital, or their parents groomed them well with the right mindset and gave them what it takes to be able to navigate through challenges, you know. So every business out there or business owner out there should bear this in mind. You cannot make it alone.
Right, it's important to be at the right place at the right time and connect with the right people. All right, we take interviews of the week now, and we'll be right back in a moment.
The coming out of the population is so good, but the government should also understand that they should not allow the population at loggerheads with the amber fighters, because at the moment given, it becomes the people who learn to do the things themselves and ignore the governance, and the place becomes ungovernable. We propose that if there is ceasefire and there is grassroots approach and civic education, because it is long that the government, the people have not been feeling impact of what the government is doing, neither the opposite party, which is ungovernable.
The situation is very tense because you move around, you see that everywhere is locked. The normal bustle and hustle is not there, and the environment is looking tense. Sometimes there are emergencies and difficult conditions. Children have to eat, they have to do other things for the family, and people have to do a lot of things.
I don't start work very early in the morning. I make sure I first of all verify through social media platforms the situation at hand. I usually start work maybe by 10:30, 11 o'clock. I even call colleagues, ask them, those in Muya, my 16, and even Upper Bokwango before stepping out. I don't put on music in order to be able to pick up sound. I don't carry people that have backs, people that are poorly dressed or looking bushy and looking like suspect.
We are tired of the old system. We just need a change. So we'll try another person. Everything is too much. Unemployment everywhere here and there. And we just need a change.
All right, we're wrapping up this edition of the program. You're the Chief Executive Officer, you're the founder of Boris Bison Youth Empowerment Business Incubator. How did you get that vision and how far have you gone in that vision?
Boris Bison Youth Empowerment Business Incubator, for short, BB Incubator, situated in Bonaberi Ancien Route next to UBA Bank, started as a result of me reading a newsletter. I'm an astute reader. I read a lot. So I was reading a newsletter captioned by Al Jazeera, "Study to be jobless in Cameroon." And the data I got from there exposed me to anguish and I would say a bit of disappointment with the situation that I now call the monster of unemployment in Cameroon. So the newsletter exposed that we have 500,000 graduates every year. The government, in all its goodwill, recruits over 3,000. So we have the private sector that absorb about 2,000 unemployed graduates. And that means the situation vis-a-vis reality is actually speaking to a 1% absorption of the graduates that we have every year. So we only have the capacity as a country to absorb 1% of what we produce every year. How derogatory, how dangerous, how damning that can be. I was so embarrassed, provoked at the same time to action, because I know the government cannot do it alone. You know, in other countries like the United States that people really cherish and value a lot, those countries, their GDP is not really solely dependent, or their country's growth is not solely dependent on the government. The private sector holds the greater share of the growth of their country. And that is what we should be doing. That is what Kenya is doing. Look at what Kenya did with M-Pesa. M-Pesa, now that started mobile money is almost everywhere in Cameroon now. But it started somewhere. It started with just a group of people that came together to create a solution. And when you look at what East Africans are doing, when you look at what West Africans are doing, I guarantee you 100% the Central Africa, which is actually headed by Cameroon, is left back, is left out of the scene. We are considered, even by some banks, as red zones for investment. So they cannot even, we cannot have sustainable investment here. For whatsoever reason for whatsoever reason this has been going on, we have to find a way to change the narrative. We have to find a way to situate ourselves, to actually position ourselves to be at the table, at the decision-making table as well. Because
so that's why you came up with this.
That is why I came up with this vehicle. I call it it's a vehicle. Yes, it's a vase. We want to just ensure that we create that ecosystem, that environment where there come a time where the banks will come to us to vet different businesses in order to invest in them. There come a time where VCs will come to us to vet businesses to invest in them. There comes a time where governments will actually look at incubators and say, hey, if we can actually give support to these incubators, which they have been given support. Actually, incubators have been given support. But public incubators are the only thing that makes me wonder is, what have they done with the support that they receive from the government? That is a question I ask myself each and every time. They receive so much support, but what have they done with the support? That is the question I ask myself. How many startups do they have in those public incubators? How many tangible startups they have that bring results that actually bring about development? I'm talking about development in terms of employment, curbing employment, because my main thing was this monster of unemployment cannot be combated by the government alone. The government cannot face this alone. We have as key actors, as ecosystem builders, as private sector, we have to join hands together with the government, create atmospheres that can be like vehicles that will be used to actually bring about this development. From ideation, we can be able to take somebody with just their idea and turn it into something. So to creation, to growth, to scaling, all of these pillars. But now when you look at the environment, when you look at what the vision, why I started and where we are today, there's so many questions. There's so many things that are left unturned. But I'm grateful that I came, I saw, we have not yet conquered, but we are in the process.
In the process.
Yes.
Right. We'll certainly have another day to go into greater details as far as what you're doing is concerned. But I want to believe that you've achieved something significant for the past 5 years. You've been existing, BB Incubator has been existing for 5 years.
Yes, exactly. And I would also like to be very positive with what the government is doing, to say that, you know, the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, His Excellency Ashil Basiliking, in 2022 actually came to our premises, inaugurated the company officially. I mean, it was such an amazing time to see that the government can really support young people like myself and give them hope. And the minister has been relentlessly consistent at supporting us. He has been consistent at supporting us in so many ways that we even had our license, our incubation license, from just the first year we were certified. So these are some of the things that the government does that it gives hope. So it's not all bad. There are some things that they do that actually brings hope. And this is not some kind of political talk, but just to say that when something is good, we should appreciate it.
Right. Thank you so much, Boris. NGALA Boris, entrepreneur, investor, consultant, and CEO of Boris Bison Youth Empowerment Business Incubator. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Babila Jonathan.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. God bless Cameroon. Goodbye.